Hello, everyone. Welcome to our halftime interview series. I am your host, Sammy Pavlov. I am a senior captain on the field hockey team, soon to be graduate and overall Smith athletics enthusiast. I hope you all enjoyed the first half of the volleyball game between Smith and Mount Holyoke. Today, I am super excited for this interview. I am here with Boston University's head women's soccer coach, Nancy Feldman. Nancy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to let me interview you. It is such an honor.
Well, I have a lot of time for Smith College and the Smith College students. I feel a close connection.
Yes, you are a fellow Smithy, and I just want to give our viewers a bit of background because your accolades and accomplishments as a head coach, it could go on for the entire interview, but I just so they know, you were entering your 25th season at Boston University as head coach. When you entered, the program was a club sport, and now it is a powerhouse of the Northeast. You were one of 3 women among the top 20 winningest coaches in NCAA women's soccer. 14 appearances in the NCAA tournament, 9 American East championships, 4 Patriot League crowns. You have an all-time record of over 300. You have been named Coach of the Year for your conference 11 times. It is nothing short of incredible to have you here. And of course, you are no stranger to the Pioneer Valley. You went to college at UMass, where you also played soccer, and then you were a grad student at Smith studying exercise sports science and being a graduate assistant coach. So from one Smithy to another, welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So happy to have you. So I just want to start off with the Smith connection. What inspired you to coach, and how did your decision to apply to Smith play into this?
Yeah. Well, when I was coming out of college, I was a public health major. Environmental health and occupational health was sort of my area of concentration. I thought I wanted to go to medical school. I worked for a while in the field at Boston University Medical Center, interestingly enough. So my pathway to coaching was not certainly a straight line nor a decision coming out of school like you now, maybe, if you want to have a career in athletics, or now young men and women leaving college knowing that they would like to have a career in athletics. I didn't consider it because I really did not want to be a physical education teacher, traditional to what I had known and models that I had seen in secondary schools or in elementary schools. So I did not see a model of coaching as a profession until after I got out of college. Didn't get into medical school, and I got drawn back into coaching by a friend of mine, coached boys soccer up in New Hampshire, and it started to be a little bit more clear that professional coaching at the collegiate level was a possibility for a full-time job. And that's really was, I'm fortunate to be at the right age. Sometimes I think I wish I was born a little later so I could have participated in a lot more organized sport activity from a younger age and maybe have a shot at playing on the national team. However, I'm also happy I wasn't born 5 years earlier, because I would not be doing what I'm doing now. So I was in this period of time where I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with my life. And then the road took me to some coaching experiences. And then the next thing I knew, I was looking for assistant coaching positions, and the Smith graduate program happened upon me in some of my investigation, and I made an application, and that was
history.
That's what happened. That's how I ended up there. It was fortuitous.
Well, lucky for Smith, lucky for us. What was your biggest takeaway from Smith as, being a young coach? And, did you face any challenges?
Sure. The graduate program is challenging because you are a full-time student, and you are also a coaching professional. As an assistant, I was an assistant with the Smith soccer program, with the Smith basketball program with Bonnie May. Did some coaching of the JV program there, and then the next year was as an assistant at UMass and an assistant at Mount Holyoke for softball. So it wasn't like, you show up when you show up. You had there was an expectation of assistant coaching, plus you were managing and balancing a full academic load. So it was challenging. It was a challenging 2 years, and it stretched me. The takeaways were, boy, my students, the students in the program with me, we supported each other and helped us get through it because we all had sort of different strengths and different weaknesses, and I think we supported each other where we needed where we had weaknesses, and yeah, if we had strengths, then we were hopefully helping somebody else out. So that was a big part of the success there and why I had such fond memories. But the biggest takeaway I'd say is I don't think I ever understood that coaching was both an art and a science as much as what I learned in my 2 years at Smith. That it was a science. There was foundation to it, scientific foundation, and we got a really great curriculum that touched on a lot of different areas that I felt super prepared when I came out to be able to talk the talk with the athletic trainer and talk the talk with the now our sports performance people, and talk the talk with our IT people, like skills that I think the foundation started with the program, the academic program at Smith, but also the art of coaching, learning from Jim Babiak, learning from Bonnie May. Carol Newhoff at the time was my advisor, and just really kind of getting a sense that it was somewhat about X's and O's and learning a little bit about X's and O's, but there was an art to it of student-athlete connection, motivation, inspiration, and just like leadership development, just other aspects that I don't think I would have. The program at Smith really catered to mentoring us in a way that maybe as an assistant at some college that wasn't a graduate program might not have.
That is awesome. And I think that camaraderie amongst graduate students at Smith is still there. I mean, I'm not one, but I get to see them. Obviously, you become very close with your grad assistant coaches. They're younger, and you just get to know them really well for the 2 years. So you graduate from Smith, you coach around a bit, and then you see this opening at Boston University. And they're trying to just transition their program from club into a Division I NCAA program.
Right.
And so you get the job, and you have a unique experience where you get to be at the program for its totality. What are some things of your coaching philosophy that helped you, and what's it like to transition a team like that?
Well, it's the best thing ever. You're not cleaning up anybody's messes. You're starting from scratch, and you get to lay it from the ground up. And
you laid it very well, I must say.
Well, thank you. It's funny, there's two things. One, the coaching experience I had previously with 7 years as a Division III head coach, both at Lake Forest College and at Plymouth State, really prepared me to have a much more solid coaching philosophy and know what I wanted it to be like, what I wanted the program to be like, the values, the culture. I think if I had been less experienced, I might not have paid attention to some of those details, paid attention to the kinds of kids we recruited, not just the kind of athletes we recruited. So that was huge, hugely important, just for, not that I didn't make mistakes and had a lot to learn and trial and error a little bit, but I had enough experience that I was able to set it off on the right foot.
And I heard that too, about a coaching philosophy that it develops with experience.
Absolutely. And the second thing, it's so funny that we're on the call today, is just a couple of nights ago, I had a Zoom call with my first recruiting class for Boston University, the 1995 recruiting class that graduated in 98, 99, because a couple of them transitioned from club players. But that group of, there were 7, 8, 9 of them, we were on a call together. And I'll tell you what it made me think about was how fortunate I was that those gals landed in my lap and our lap that first year, because they could not have been a more perfect group to build a culture. Because what happened was, at that first year, they were freshmen and we had some club players but the freshmen all played, and they were real hard workers. They were humble. They had a thirst for learning. They were fun. And so what happened then is, in recruitment, when they hosted the next group of recruits, they really sold the program and really helped to shape who was attracted to us the next year, 2, and 3. And so it sort of became their kind of image was really the kind of student athletes that populated our program in the next couple of years.
And it just snowballed.
It snowballed. And if they had been a jerky group of kids, we would have ended up with jerky group of kids coming behind them. And so it's a lot of, I think it's a lot of both. I had a clear vision. I knew what I wanted. And I was fortunate to have such a wonderful group of initial terriers.
That is incredible. And when you recruit now, you talked about, not only looking at, these young girls as soccer players, but them as people, and, and there's a lot to offer. What are some things that you look for when you're recruiting?
Well,
I mean, it's a big question, but.
No, it is. I mean, there's a couple of things off the top of my head. I'm watching for how a kid acts in my office with their parents. That's a big one. Are they dismissive of their parents? Or are they respectful of their parents? Even when their parents are, maybe they're not allowing their daughter to talk. How do they handle that situation? Or, do they have a relationship where, and does the parent have enough confidence in the daughter, and does the daughter have enough confidence in herself to take charge of that meeting? So that's one big one. Certainly, when we're recruiting, Sammy, I talk very much about what we expect when they're here. So I don't paint this rosy picture, and I don't try to sell the kid on BU or me or the success of the program, or they're going to be a superstar. I really share with them that this is we want student athletes that have a growth mindset, that are good teammates, that that work hard, that know that there's a process to growth, and that that have characteristics and have values that are, that they're unselfish. So these are things I talk about in the recruiting process really clearly. When they ask the question, I don't talk about, oh, I want someone who can score a lot of goals, or, oh, I saw you play and aren't you amazing? I say to them, I notice that when you play, you make your teammates better. You are a player on the field that looks to make her teammates better. That is an important quality. So I'll try to share with them, as I'm telling them what I think about what I've learned about them, about how it relates to the values of our program. And that's just a big part of our recruiting process. So I think it's a little bit of self-selection. Kids that really like that message get attracted to us. Kids that don't like that message don't get attracted to us.
Well, I like that message. Not that I have the talent of a Division I soccer player.
Don't sell yourself short.
But trust the process is one of my favorite statements by Joel Embiid, who plays for the Sixers, and it's just all about that. It's not right now. You grow, and seeing the growth in your players. And I guess this interview has went so quick. What are some words you have for current student athletes? They're home right now. Or also, words to young graduate assistant coaches, in their first, second, third year of coaching. What are some words to them of what we can be doing right now during social distancing?
Well, I think continuing to try to have positive habits and routines, and just keep reinforcing positive habits and routines. That's a big part of what we can do. And it's actually one of the things that has been a benefit for me personally during this time. I'm walking an hour to an hour and a half a day, or getting on the bike and riding for 45 minutes. But I'm doing something daily for myself, for my health. And that had been getting away from me in some kind of a regular commitment. And just slowing down, and trying to be a little bit more thoughtful without, and I said this to my partner when we were talking earlier this morning, being a little bit less critical of myself. I think as student athletes, female student athletes and female young professionals, or older professionals, more experienced professionals, we're awful hard on ourselves.
Yes, we are.
Right? I mean, I'm constantly thinking about, that didn't really go the way I wanted it to go, or there's always some little issue that's cropping up, and I just own it, and I just I feel a responsibility. I feel like, I must not have done something right that this came up, and or I didn't deal with it very well, and I just think that there's a lot of questioning, and it's really tiring. And if we're doing that to ourselves, it's hard enough to be a student athlete and to be a professional coach. It's hard enough to be great. If we're not generous with ourselves, I think we're just it's a limiting factor. So those are the things that I've learned while this 6 weeks of shutdown, and I think, well, unfortunately we have many more, and I would pass along those messages to both the student athletes out there and to young professionals, while getting up, having a plan, expecting a lot from yourself, setting goals, and really understanding that your work is a reflection of you. How you do things is a reflection of you. So it's this balancing act, but I think many of us are maybe a little bit go overboard and are very overly critical. For those that do that, maybe tone that down a little bit. For those that don't do that enough, then maybe you got to jack it up a little bit. But that would be my words of wisdom today.
You know, us women, we need to be nicer to ourselves.
We do.
need more women head coaches, as you know, and we need more. We just need to be kind to ourselves during this time. Coach Feldman, that's about all the time we have. I just want to thank you. You are a trailblazer of women in coaching. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I look forward and I wish you well in your upcoming season. And I wish you many wins and successes. And I hope you stay safe and healthy during this time.
You too, Sammy, and congratulations on your upcoming graduation. And this is wonderful, a wonderful thing that Smith is doing, and go Pioneers.
Go Pioneers. Enjoy the second half of the volleyball game. My name's Sammy Pavlov. I'm your host. I'll be here next Friday at 7. Everyone take care.